Hi, I'm Delegate Patrick Hope, and welcome back to your Week 6 edition of the Richmond Update. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about transportation. Really the two remaining issues that we have remaining in these last days of session are transportation and Medicaid. And I talked to you significantly about Medicaid last week, but I want to devote most of my conversation with you today about transportation and the opportunity that we have to really put some significant amount of money on the table to solve our transportation issues. As you probably know, that our maintenance shortfall is really eating into our construction, and in a few short years we will have very little money remaining for maintenance. And so we really have a significant problem across the Commonwealth, and we have a historic opportunity at this point to really do something that we haven't been able to do since 1986. And so I'm hopeful that we, working with the governor, working with the Senate and the House, that we can come up with some compromise on transportation. Well, here's the state of affairs right now. The House has passed its bill, which I oppose, and the Senate passed a bill, which I support. So right now the two bills are in conference committee, and they're trying to come up with some agreement. But I want to walk you through the two proposals, and so you can become clear to you why I think the Senate package is a much more important package and much more significant that I believe that we need to pass. First, the House bill. The House bill would eliminate the gas tax. The 17.5-cent gas tax that we've been paying since 1986 would be eliminated. And pretty much all of that money, all that revenue that we've received would be shifted over into a sales tax. It also depends on a gimmick that I believe is shifting to Congress their responsibility to pass an internet tax, which they haven't done over the last 10 years and have refused to do so. It also robs a significant amount of money from our general fund, funding that pays for our schools and our public safety and our health care. It roughly takes about $300 million away from the general fund to pay for transportation. And finally, all it raises is about $845 million a year, which still is significant, but I have a lot of concerns about how the math adds up, especially when a third of it relies on Congress passing the internet tax, about $222 million worth of it on the internet tax, which may or may not happen. So it's really put together as more of a gimmick than anything else. The Senate bill, which I support, is a much more viable bill. First, it keeps the gas tax, and it adds 5 cents to that gas tax. It also allows localities, such as regions like Northern Virginia, could all come together, Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, Prince William, and Loudoun, and put together on top of that another regional tax that could generate about $400 million a year, and all of that money would stay in Northern Virginia. And finally, it would raise about $1.5 billion a year starting in 2018. This compared to $1.5 billion in the Senate bill compared to only $845 million, a third of which relies on Congress passing the internet tax. So you can see why the Senate bill is much more viable. And so I hope, and I'll be encouraging you and others to weigh in with the House and senators to ask them to support the Senate package. I won't vote for a bill unless I think it can significantly solve our problems, come close to what we actually need for maintenance and construction. We have a real serious problem in Northern Virginia in transportation. We spend more time in traffic than most any other place in the entire nation. We have a significant problem, but we have an historic opportunity to solve it. And so I hope that you will join me and ask that the conference committee come out with a bill that mirrors the Senate language, because I can't support anything unless it's very close to what the Senate has provided. I think it's going to be enough. We may need a little bit more, but this is an important start, and so I hope you will join me in that effort. Well, that concludes this week's update. I hope you will join me next week for our final update, which will wrap up at the end of the session. If you have any questions or you want to contact me, go to my website at hopeforvirginia.org. Again, this is Patrick Hope. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you back here next week.